Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim?
Cross your eyes and scream, man. Scream for your life.
You're almost 40 fucking years old.
Meet Bobby Sweet. All he's ever wanted to do is write and perform country music.
As you know, I would like to become a country music star.
But one thing has always stood in his way.
You got the stage fright.
Meet Laddie.
She's pretty, she's smart, business savvy, a bit intense and kind of rude and angry a lot of the time.
No shit.
And then meet Jerry.
He's a fucking moron.
They're serving up something more than
Burgers and fries.
Burgers and fries!
burgers and fries. So come on down to Sweet Meats and get yourself a treat.
So let's talk about your movie, Sweet Meats. So Sweet Bobby is a country music legend and has been the world-renowned face of sweetmeats since establishing his first restaurant with his wife in 1978. So what sparked this this screenplay, this
why?
idea?
Why does this exist?
Why'd you write
How did this get made? The earliest of this is a play that I had. My wife is a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, and for her 30th birthday, we were up in Chicago, and I went through Improv Olympics, Second City, and decided that through the improv team that we were part of called Vegetable Demon, because you have to have a dumb name when you're an improv team, we moved into sketch. And then some of us, Kelsey Kenny, ended up on the main stage for Second City and is a fantastic writer and performer. Different people have gone on and done different things, but we weren't all heading in the same path. And I was like, you know what I like? I like being less flaky and building something. So I went back to more of my theater roots, and I got connected with a black box theater, starting off with a show called Dating Incorporated, which was the idea of Logan's Run of like, if you're not married by the time you're 30, if you're not coupled, doesn't matter, race, sex, whatever, you get 86th. But it's like a reality show. It's like Running Man. Everything's broadcast like a rom-com, and it was super dark comedy, very sitcom-y, like if it were filmed in front of a live studio audience kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I got so many bad reviews. Like not one. I've kept the newspaper from the Chicago Reader, like a prestigious Chicago publication. And one of the bylines was sloppily realized. And like that is stuck with me forever. So the next thing that I decided to do, it was influenced by at one of the local drag bars with like a little theater. They were doing a thing called Alien Queen, where they were doing Alien and aliens mixed with drag performers and puppets to the soundtrack musical of Queen. And it was so fucking good.
I love that. I go to Fringe Fest every year. I love Fringe Festival.
Yes.
So, I mean, that sounds exactly like something that I would watch at Fringe Festival. And I've also seen like Shakespeare and Aliens together. It was phenomenal. Like, I just love that shit. Like, I love it.
So hopefully that's where, like, hopefully you like the gestations of this. So kind of like when Kevin Smith saw Slackers, which I was already familiar with this in the indie film scene, but really wasn't in it yet because I was still doing live theater, doing some shorts and some film stuff here and there. I went and saw that show and I was just like, oh, you can do that. You can do like a mashup of like pop culture and music, and you can do it. If you do parody enough, you can get away with it. As long as they don't, and as long as they're not complete assholes and like cease and desist you just to squash a small theater company. Even though my show sucked, or it wasn't what critically or people liked, Dating Inc., that theater company, Public Theater House, had a black box that held about 120 people if scrunched together. they did give me another shot because the next thing I pitched was A Nightmare on Back Street. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mhm.
That's my favorite ride or die horror franchise.
Yeah.
Close second is Phantasm, but for different reasons. And then Scream because Wes Craven again. So I love boy band music. And so I was like, I think I could use the soundtrack of Backstreet Boys like they did for Alien Queen with A Nightmare on Elm Street. And like, because it's dream sequences, we can just always be busting out into dream ballets.
Yeah.
Like choreographed boy band performances.
Yeah,
And I was
love
like,
that.
I can turn this black box theater into a music video, like just into a music soundstage. And like the audience can just be that. We can configure the seats however we want. We can do some practical shit based on how they did it practically in the movie. We could do the sheet where it looks like the bed and like the actors aren't touching it. And then we can have Freddie come like this. And then we can have Freddie rip it open. Like we were just like thinking of all the shit that of being a nerd with that franchise and that movie and the indie breakdown of how it was done. I applied it to that. Sold out our entire run. That show's been done by a few different colleges and a couple other small theaters. It's always open. I can't charge for it to be done. I happily offer it to anybody that wants it. We did immediately in February. I wrote it way too fast and it definitely found its footing in the last week of production was Bates, an 80s psycho musical parody. And it was all new wave 80s music. And like, so really horny and synthy. Yeah. So, and the guy who played our Freddy Krueger, who was a very openly out and a drag queen, played Norman Bates and just brought that same flamboyancy and was just so sexual. Where he was with Freddy of just being like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like as Norman, it was just bottled up. And then we personified Mother as my wife, who was just my fiance at the time, played Mother. The only times he broke out dancing was in his mind, and his mother had to be like mirror it, like Busby Berkeley.
Yeah, because it was all in his psyche anyway. So
yes.
yeah.
And so flash forward to, we do a couple original shows, Babysitter Massacre 78, which is just my version of, oh my gosh, The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs.
That urban legend. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
kind of based on a true story.
Yeah. And making it Halloween, you know, with those elements and a little bit of House on Sorority Row, the original, fused together. Get to the show I wrote for my wife's 30th birthday called Fleetwood Macbeth.
Cute.
And so this is where Sweetmeats comes from.
Okay.
A big part of it. There's a few lines that are copy and paste because I liked them. And they worked in a live setting that I was like, I think they might work here too. When you can't be with the audience and you can't find out what they're going to like. So you got to do some things that have worked before. But it was the story of a radio station in the 70s set to the story of Macbeth. So it was about disc jockeys and the hierarchy and the machismo of that. The very male ran that. And so the smartest person working there is a pseudo secretary / they'll let herself call herself a producer lady.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend, Mac, is the late night graveyard shift guy with his dumb friend, Banky, who is her. So in my version, I was like, oh, I want to make them brother and sister. Because then when the betrayal happens later, I think that's way worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have Banky and Mac be Vietnam vets. You know, they've just come back from Vietnam. And there is a little bit something that I've never seen, but I'm not a huge Shakespearean, historian.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody talk about Macbeth's imposter syndrome. And I think he has not stolen valor, but maybe isn't the hero. I think subtextually isn't the hero that he's getting the credit for coming back, and that he's already struggling there. I don't think it starts because he's not being man enough or blah, 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 like any of that. I think he's already spiraling. But so I played with that using the soundtrack of Fleetwood Mac. It's actually getting a production in Somerset, Kentucky in May. So if anybody's around that Lake Cumberland area there, they're doing an outdoor amphitheater run of it.
Nice. You need to take some of this on the road with Fringe Fest. Have you ever put anything out with them?
I haven't, just because when we moved back to Northern Kentucky and we, got a house and started creating a family, we started, our full intention was to do storefront theater. It was weirdly gate kept. And the buy-in was hard. And a theater that I grew up with on Mama Street, I don't mind talking about this, Falcon Theater. Growing up, and when I was in college, they were doing like Evil Dead the musical. They're doing Gilligan's Island the musical. And then they would do a couple like serious black box pieces. And they had a liquor license. When we came back, and this is 10 years later, I met with them and I was just like, so here's a package of shows that we've done that are fully ready to go. Like, as much business, like trying to make what we want to do and then continue to make new things, like how to present it to get that buy-in. And he was just like, Ted Wild, the theater was just like, we've transitioned. Like, we've got season subscription holders that we cannot lose. If we do one show that is just, irks the wrong person. And that's not to say that they don't do challenging shows.
Yeah.
But they're just like, we're not going to do basically what they would call like the Rocky Horror crowd. And I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. And maybe they'll swing back around, but so that's when that didn't happen. I pivoted into films and I started doing some short films to get, back into the feel of it. And Nick Hyance and I reconnected with that. And we both said to each other, when we were 35, we're like, okay, hypothetical. If we were 50 years old and we hadn't done something, what would it be? And would we regret it? And we both said, not make a feature film. And so then that's how All Your Friends Are Dead came to be, was he just kept me honest of just like, all right, let's write something that we can do. And let's write something that means something. And so like I presented a plethora of different ideas that he was just like, no, until we got to what the script is that we kind of both worked on. Yeah. It felt personal and like, there's a ton of mistakes. Audio, like, there's a lot. It's a $5,959 movie.
Yeah. I mean, the expectations kind of have to be tailored to that entire thing. Like $5,000 is like nothing.
Oh, and I always say $5,959 plus probably another $5,000 worth of favors. Yeah. To even get what we got. So then Sweetmeats, Sweetmeats comes out of, after All Your Friends Are Dead, we pitched it to festivals, and live showings always were great with an audience because there was good interaction that we didn't fully know when we made it until kind of in editing that we kept on figuring out and finessing and playing with the music, playing with the edits. Different things are just like, all right, I think this is what makes this, and it's the tone and the vibe of what it is. Unfortunately, submitting that to festivals, I like horror festivals and stuff, 85% rejections. And festivals are real expensive. And the ones that did provide feedback said, we know our audience here at our horror convention film festival or whatever, and they like a certain kind of horror movie at this budget. Okay. And I was just like, are they saying TNA? Like, are they saying super gore? I was like, interesting, because this is comedy horror, but I was like, interesting that maybe it doesn't have as much of a seat at the table as I thought it did. And that was the general feeling across the board, was too much comedy in it, not enough horror. And then the places that did end up showing, like Port of Fear Horror Festival, we were part of their first year, and they screened it. They're like, yeah, we loved it. It weirdly played well in Germany. I don't know. Sweetmeats has as well. There's been a little bit of a Japanese following for Sweetmeats as well. It's just all interesting. I love reading any reviews on Letterboxd. But so that's, we wanted our next thing to be something that was transparent and out front. Was we wanted to make a horror musical comedy. Like, I wanted to blend all the things that I like doing, because I don't have, at least yet, like an idea of like, it'd be really scary. Like I don't think that's going to be the horror movie I ever make.
Yeah. I mean, you write what you enjoy, and you enjoy comedy. So that makes sense.
And Eileen Ernest, who is in All Your Friends Are Dead and plays Laddie in Sweetmeats, she's
Mhm.
like, you love your blue collar misfits.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I do. And part of that is I love the phrase king shit of Turd Mountain. Like, I love that righteous indignation. Like, you have zero reason to be this confident.
Yeah.
That's a big impetus for Sweetmeats. But we tried doing this movie called Open House, which there's a proof of concept trailer out there, which had Timmy, who was Jerry in Sweetmeats, and my wife playing these realtors who are the number one realtors in this small town, but unbeknownst to them, they trap some people that they are able to punish in this one house in the basement because they're workshopping their off-Broadway Adam and Eve original musical.
I love that.
And there's also cannibalism.
Okay.
And every time that they chain somebody up and they slice them down, they pull out a bucket and it has a Sweetmeats logo on it.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the whole movie, you're seeing these Sweetmeats commercials, and it's like a Bob Evans like place restaurant, just like a breakfast, like country breakfast place. And you're just like, well, what's the connection here? It all ends up being revealed. And Mike Flincham, who's a childhood friend of mine and in All Your Friends Are Dead and producer on that and Sweetmeats, his grandfather's Bobby Mackey, who's a country music guy, pretty notable. And he owned and ran the bar Bobby Mackey's The Haunted Bar in Wilder, Kentucky.
Yes, I saw that. That's where it was filmed. It was the last movie to be filmed there.
Yep. And Roadkill, the proof of concept short that I talked about before, that's the upstairs. You get a great look at that upstairs. And I think it's probably the best, besides like the travel shows, the best documentation of how it looked like in its heyday or post heyday, but like it was untouched.
So it was haunted is the thing, right?
Yeah, there's a story of, gosh, her name's Pearl Bailey, maybe, who was dating this affluent son of a dentist or something, and she got pregnant, and the boy got, maybe they were breaking up or some. There's a whole urban legend thing behind it, and I can't remember what is true, what is 100% apocryphal, because Mike has told me. Because like they would use the place, they're going to rebuild Bobby Mackey's as well. And I think they're really leaning into, they kept the well area. So she got beheaded and they never found her head. And there's a well there from the old days of connecting. It was a bootlegging thing to the river out back, the Licking River. Yeah. And so it would come into this well area. And so they think, people see her floating head. Like there's so many things. People always ask us, like, was it haunted? Like, were you scared? We're like, structurally, we were worried, but we were not like, you look up and it was just like, yeah, let's get at it. No, I mean, we did zero adding of production to that space. That is how it looked anytime you see basement in the film.
Yeah. No, it was very creepy basement.
So to wrap up, Open House didn't happen. We put it on Front Street, had a Kickstarter. Roger Avery shared it on Twitter. Edgar Wright shared it. We had a bunch of traffic of people seeing it. And I think clicking it and seeing the budget that we were going for, which I think was like $10,000, no money came our way, which is nothing. And I think it's because I don't know why we didn't learn from the film festival thing. People who want that kind of movie at that budget level kind of want a little bit of a promise that there's going to be someone they're going to see maybe naked in that movie that isn't like, there's sometimes that thing. I'm not saying it's all the thing, but so we're like, okay, Sam Raimi doesn't say when he puts out Drag Me to Hell, like if you don't know that it's Sam Raimi and he doesn't infuse humor in the trailer, like for even Send Help, he sells it the most marketable way possible. And if you know who Sam Raimi is and you see at the end of the trailer, a new film by Sam Raimi, you're like, oh, I bet you that's got some more stuff going on in there.
Yeah.
And so we started, Heinz and I were like, all right, not to bait and switch, but what if we pivot? And me and Mike Flincham had already been talking about the backstory of Open House, of this brother and sister. What if their grandfather was Bobby Sweet of Sweetmeats? And it was this, kind of using like Pearl a little bit in that idea of like going back into the lineage and how this thing grew into this corporation. And using the Fleetwood Macbeth familial thing of this brother and sister and using Macbeth and then the power structure of that and its own horror of Laddie is the only competent person.
Yeah.
In the whole movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if,
That's what I got.
top to bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Laddie was definitely, I felt like this was very much a feminist film.
Yes. So the one joke that we would make is part of the joke is not to, again, like put it on like Front Street or whatever, because it's just, I think it's there in the movie. The misdirection of the big turd just really personifying the king shit of Turd Mountain and that it's Bobby and the paper dolls of stripping him away. But while we were making the movie is called Sweetmeats, The Legend of Bobby Sweet. The movie is not about Bobby Sweet. Like it is, it's about Laddie. It's the rise of Laddie. And again, while talking about like where she ends up, what is her future? And so like this will never happen, but it would be a slightly bigger budget proposed sequel is they're doing, it's like 5 years later, 6 years later, and it's the 80s country music scene. So it's like Islands in the Stream, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, Bobby and Laddie Sweet. Yeah. Or even kind of like the televangelists, like the Faye Bakers.
That'd be good. I like that.
And they're doing a telethon to raise for something that's bullshit, of course. Again, Righteous Gemstones now has maybe done everything that we would maybe do, minus the music aspect. Even they've done that. But, and they did it beautifully. But we don't know who Bobby's dad is. Turns out in the interim, when Bobby takes off, he's supposed to, and Laddie's always looking for her chance to get rid of him. When it comes to time, like he's funzo dunzo.
Yeah.
But Bobby's dad steps forward and he's like a Colonel Tom Parker.
Okay.
And so he starts running the show. And so like the set piece for this like actual in live time telethon, like just pressure cooker, like variety show presentation is something to do with like a giant meat grinder. And it's got to like go to it's the thermometer. And of course, there's a bloodbath at some point. Like, I don't know. It's definitely another patricide kind of thing. The Colonel Tom Parker guy's got to go too. Yeah. But I don't know if it's Bobby has to kill his own dad. But yeah, that'll never get funded and Troma owns it now. So
I do like the aspect of Laddie needed a man to front everything, which is very much how society has always been. Yeah. It almost reminded me of like women getting ownership of land. Like they would have, women couldn't technically own land.
What year was it that the woman couldn't even get a mortgage? It's staggering, like how recent.
In the 60s.
Yes. I was going to say 63 maybe, but maybe later. Maybe it's okay.
Pretty crazy. People are like, oh, well, women have equal rights. Well, since not that long ago, and those ideologies, like people don't just like change their mind.
The staggering amount of women who voted against women getting the right to vote. They were just like, I don't want this. No, I've been convinced that I don't need a voice. Yeah.
Great for you. Great for you if you feel safe and comfortable and like someone else is going to have your best rights.
Fucking live in your echo chamber. God. And unfortunately, that is what it is. Like ignorancy used to be, there used to be a level of embarrassment, and like the echo chamber used to be, you like couldn't hear it as much. But now it's maybe because of social media, it's just like, I do have a voice. I do have an opinion. It's just like, I catch myself so often. That's my only real involvement in social media interaction is Letterboxd. And it's on the Sweetmeats reviews where I'll comment on every single one and like it. Because one, I'm just like, holy shit, you watched the movie. Thank you. Like that blows my mind. And then some of the reviews are very, very like in depth, and I've really dug it. But so I always want to interact that way and not be shitty, not be snarky, not be like, and I've grown. Adam Marcus, director and writer and director of Jason Goes to Hell and Hearts of Darkness, he befriended me way back in the day when I was doing a podcast. We broke that the Necronomicon and Jason Goes to Hell connects means that Jason is a Deadite. That was the first place that he had ever said it was our podcast. And we were like, yay. And then he showed us a screener of his movie that was unfinished, Secret Santa.
Okay.
And then we put out an episode and we shit on it. And he let me know how much that hurt him.
Aw.
And I was just like, oh, yep. Who are we? And this is before I had even made a film. Why? Like, why unnecessarily crap on? Like, why? And so it did inform, like, reevaluating, like, all right, I don't need to be just an asshole, like sitting, like writing my snarky review or doing anything or commenting on whatever. Like, I love like hearing the criticism about our own stuff, or also discussing healthily amongst others, like your likes and dislikes. Like I said, like Death Proof, there's stuff that just doesn't work for me. And maybe it is Tarantino operating the camera. Maybe it is as simple as that. Maybe that is the disconnect for me.
Yeah.
But like, that's a healthy discord where, yeah, it's just loud right now with.
It is. There's definitely, I know that whenever I eventually hopefully make my movie, I am going to get a lot of negative feedback on it because of the issues that I'm covering and the way that I do it. But I kind of feel like I'm going to wear it as like a badge of honor. Like
Sloppily realized. But also, even All Your Friends Are Dead, one criticism that it will always be in my head, it's because it's funny, but it's true, is one of the first YouTube comments when Joe Blow ran the trailer was All Your Friends Are White. And like making it in Northern Kentucky. Yeah. And like looking at it, I was just like, yep. Like, yeah. Yep. And it's like, well, the funniest thing, not the funniest part of it, is like in the movie, and he's not in the trailer, there is a black actor who was in our short, plays a cop at the end of it. And that was our way of just being like, oh, we obviously don't have people of color, this whole Breakfast Club style, like movie. But when we see the cops, it's going to be, one of the cops is going to be black. So just to have, like, he's not going to be up for a victim, like within the movie or like whatever, any of that. Yeah. So I love seeing a criticism of just being like, you're not wrong.
There is something to reviews and certain things. We have blind spots in our biases and what you only know what you know. So there are certain things. It's like, we can always work. We can always do better. I hate when people take criticism personally. Because most of the time it has nothing to do with you.
I only treat, and this is recently, and this is more through going through therapy. I have definitely, the older I've gotten, I've realized I've become way more emotional, but I will cry at the drop of a hat. But granted, this is also coming from the kid in 8th grade who saw City of Angels at the Dollar Theater with my cousins. And when Meg Ryan got hit by the bus, and I just was weeping. I was just like, he just gave up being an angel for her. I was like, this is the greatest love story ever. Oh my gosh, what a movie. Watch in retrospect. But like, I put more stock into how you treat me as a person with your actions rather than the criticisms you may have, either if it's projection, whether it's half of it's true, whether it's out of anger, whether it's out of whatever the reasons are behind it, how you ultimately treat me. Like, criticize, please give me. And it's our job to figure out how to communicate the best way we can and make sure that stays healthy. But yeah, that's, again, things that you learn over time.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's not easy, but it's a good lesson to learn. And I think I'm at the maturity level where
you have a 19-year-old. Yeah.
I have a 19-year-old. Yeah.
Good job. You did it.
There's very little that people can say to me to that, there might be some things where I'm like, that like valid. Maybe I need to work on that. I know that I'm not a perfect person. I know that I don't know everything, but I try my best. And I think if we can admit, I mean, this is totally off topic, but one of the most admirable qualities is being able to admit when you do something wrong authentically, actually admit when you do something wrong and try to better yourself from it.
That's the biggest thing in our household. It's one of the biggest things. And Anna is a rock star and she is so good in school. and she lets it all out at home.
Yeah,
but that's
that
a good
tends to be
sign.
how it is.
It's a good sign though of like
She's
not an
comfortable at
asshole.
home.
Right. Yeah, she's comfortable at home and she
Yeah.
lets her hair down. And so yeah, that's been a big thing is just showing each other respect in that way.
Yeah. So with Sweetmeats, what was it like getting Troma and Lloyd Kaufman on your side and everything with this production?
It was, I don't believe any, this is, gosh, was it still Twitter or was X already? Maybe it was in the transit. I don't remember. It's a garbage platform and I really should not use it. And I don't, it is just posting. It is literally the posting of things of like, this is what's going on. Again, there is no engagement. It is a weird bot porn thing now. It's
all the
bizarre.
AI, like what is it? The GIMP or something?
Oh, Grok.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
That
I've
thing.
never heard
Grok?
it pronounced GROK.
Yeah, Grok.
Yeah.
I've never used it. So
no, I don't. Again, I don't evolve with apps. So it's like, I use it like this. Now, like people like Timmy who played Jerry, it is also in our new film that's being edited now, Casually Cool. He is so with it, but he is a freelance editor. So part of that is staying up to date with the tools and whatnot. So Lloyd and Troma came because he was one of the people that supported Open House, that I don't believe in any rock unturned. So on Twitter, I will tag an Edgar Wright. I will tag a Lloyd Kaufman. I will tag a, Robert Rodriguez, who one time, like, again, it's such a little fan, like writing. It's like writing away for an autograph, like the new version of getting a celebrity to retweet you or comment on something. Just the weird endorphin of someone that you've like respected or respect some art they've made. Like Robert Rodriguez, I retweet something about the director's chair, one of the episodes, and he retweeted it and blah, blah, blah. And then he plugged like where it was airing and stuff. But
nice.
So it was, so Lloyd was supporting Open House. And he's like, this is the kind of movies should be made, blah, 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 support, interesting horror and art, make something different. And I was just like, that's awesome. I was like, I don't know, Lloyd. Lloyd don't know me. And so then Sweetmeats came around. I was like, all right, I'm going to dip back into Lloyd and see if he would be interested in retweeting this or making a support thing for us video, since he was so, there's nothing hurting in asking. And he was like, yep, email me here, Fantoxic. Because every time I read Lloyd is, so Lloyd now is in my phone, right? And there's a picture and we've had multiple, this is not like big time. It's just like, we've had conversations over the phone many times. He's been at my parents' house in Florence, Kentucky. He calls, and every time he calls, it's like it's the first phone call that's ever been made. Like telephones have just been invented. And which is exciting for someone who's connecting for that first time, making that call, being on his end. But it's weird being someone who knows that that's not historically what's going on. Like I would look at him and be like, oh, Lloyd. I go, hey, Lloyd, what's going on? He goes, Lloyd Kaufman here, calling from Tromaville, the creator of the Toxic Avenger. He's always shilling, like always promoting Carnival Bark. And I'm like, yeah, Lloyd, I know it's you. We have caller. We're in the future. I was like, hey, would you do this? He's like, here's my email. I emailed him and he's like, yeah, I'll make a video supporting it. Is there possibly a part for Uncle Lloydie? And I was just like, oh, there 100% is, because I wrote these series of commercials that were supposed to be dual. Supposed to be a vacuum company and a carpet company. And maybe the carpet company would have had too many low-hanging fruit jokes that we would have cut at the end of the day anyway. But I was pitching that because I have a semi-connection to the Monkees, Mickey Dolenz. And I was going to have him be the carpet company and now make it Lloyd Duckwood for the vacuum company. And Mickey never was able to make happen. And Lloyd was just like, yep, I can do it. I was like, all right, we'll just cut it down to this and be a thing that's mentioned and then come back for a little cameo at the end. He's like, yeah, send me the script. And I sent him a part and he's just like, yep. He's like, send me the full script. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. You want to make sure that your scene is also not just inside something that's like Nazi propaganda or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I sent it over and he replied back. He said, do you already have somewhere you plan on selling this to or distributing? And I was just like, no, because the only thing Heinz and I talked about after getting burned with festivals for All Your Friends Are Dead is taking that money and four-walling it, finding all independent theaters and just me going with it, having a stand-up background, like making it a stand-up, like packaging it somehow, kind of Kevin Smithing it. If anybody would be interested, he was just like, oh, he's like, how much money do you need to make it? And I was like, we don't. We start in 2 weeks. We film in 2 weeks. We were able to get our budget on Indiegogo because I made a semi bait and switch proof of concept for Sweetmeats that had everything that we were going to do in the campiness, but played as if it was a porn without the porn. So very James Gunny. And so I think that's what Lloyd saw. And then when he got the script and he was like, oh, I like this. He marketed to get his budget, but this is the movie he's making. And I do know he read it, but also who read it was Garrett Sullivan, who's no longer his assistant, who I think as much as Lloyd liked it and wanted to be hands off, because the only note Lloyd ever gave was their first trailer edit didn't show a clip of us singing. And he's like, I think if you're going to say it's a musical, you should show a musical number of someone singing. And I was like, fair note. I was like, that's a good note. But yeah, so when he found out that we didn't need a budget, them coming on board just boosted the Indiegogo that we had already had. We were able to just spend more money, honestly, in music and, a little bit more, a few things of production that made it nicer for the actors. That's where the rest of, I think, like the $7,000 that we ended up getting the bump from Troma went to.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. So the opening sequence with the commercial, it really reminded me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the second one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Texas Chainsaw 2, which oddly enough, again, another blaspheme thing, not a fan of. Love the idea of it. Love the marketing. Love Toby, But like I had seen, I think, Eaten Alive before seeing Texas Chainsaw 2. So his swing at using a facade or using like that juxtaposition with horror, I think I had already, I liked Eaten Alive as a kid. I don't so much anymore now. There's a sweatiness to it. And like knowing that it's on a soundstage and like Kyle Richards, I don't know. It's like Friday the 13th part 5. Like that movie, there's a greasiness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The commercials definitely, like when we got Nick's Restaurant is the name of that restaurant. Our producer, Chris Morris, he worked there as a child. And so when we were going to film Open House, I was like, oh, we would need like 2 days to film these series of commercials. And when it pivoted to Sweetmeats, I was like, would he be open to let us film 8 consecutive days based on like their schedule? Because I already knew at that time they weren't open a ton and we could film around it.
Nice.
What I didn't know was they have a ballroom that is on the other side of the restaurant, which is the exact same size of the restaurant, just completely empty with ballroom tables and chairs where they do catering events. So we got to use that as our like production area, like makeup, hair, costume, like everything where everybody hung out. It was a dream location. And so the owner, when I was pitching it, so he's like, Nick, so tell me, Nick's also the bass player and he did a lot of the music for the movie, which was another weird connection, which led down the road. But he was like, so what is this movie? And I was like, all right, I'm going to be on, like, it's not like as gory and it's a musical, but it's like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, if you're familiar with that, or like Motel Hell, or like the satire of like Sleepaway Camp or Slaughter Party, And he's just like, oh yeah. He's like, I know all this. He's just like, I used to go to the drive-in and see those. He's like, and he started like referencing things. He's like, yeah, I'm good with that. He's like, if you ever need cutaways of filming weird meat, he's like, I get rid of all the old meat on Thursdays. He's like, we could do some real weird stuff with it. Again, a thing that at the end of the day, when we looked at the footage we had, we're like, all right, because we're indie, do we spend the time / money to go film more stuff and like that? And so like thinking of inserts like that, which we had option to do, or even making like the album covers, like, because that was an idea of incorporating that with a montage. But just, things that we didn't.
That. I loved the use of the story time in the beginning of the movie too. It was like a little golden book of Sweetmeats and like the history. And like, I would love to have that as like a published Spoof on a Child's book. That would be so cute.
Brian and Sarah Laley, local artists that we've worked with a lot, did that. And they did also all the interstitial chapter art, which I love. Like, there are some of those, like, if you freeze frame, there's one where Laddie's the widow spider coming down to like eat Jerry's head. And like Bobby's like got his back turned and just like smiling and singing in his own world. I'm just like, oh my God, like I love just this piece of art. The question to you, and I'm fine with spoiling it. And obviously I'm not spoiling it for you, just anybody listening. If you don't want to hear, watch the movie, then finish this. But did you see it coming a mile away that Jerry would die? Or how did you think it was? Okay. Yeah.
I did. Because he was very annoying. And
he's got to go.
Yeah. And Laddie she would definitely, if you are a nuisance, like she was going to get rid of you.
Yes. Yeah. This isn't something I'm going to put up with.
No. So yeah, I was like, yeah, eventually he's going to get murdered.
There's people that have, again, to me, I see it. I'm like, yes, this is 100% a guess. And this is the emotional manipulation. It shows again how much of a big piece of shit Bobby is. Like, I've never saw it any different way, but people watch it sometimes you're just like, oh, like one Darrell Dennis, who plays the guy who gets his throat slashed up against the wall. When he was at the premiere and he saw it, he's just, because he didn't know the ending, he's just like, man, he's like, I thought because of the banana peel and everything in the story with banana, they were going to come down and Bobby is going to lead Jerry to get killed by Laddie because he wouldn't be able to do it. But Laddie was going to step out and slip on the banana peel and fall on the meat grinder. And I was like, and then Bobby and Jerry, walk off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And I was just like, huh. I was like, interesting.
I could see that too.
I was like, but no, not for what the rest of this is just one piece of a bigger plan for Laddie. And like, she is always in control.
I don't think Laddie's dumb enough to slip on a banana peel. She's too with it. Like, she wouldn't do it.
Yes. And kudos to, again, everybody, but Eileen Ernest elevating and carrying the weight of so many of those scenes that we have her do documentary style, because she is a fantastic performer and live performer, but she elevated it during rehearsals. And Eileen always is asking amazing character questions, backstory, reasons for, which I think enriches it a million times more than what it is.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, why? And she's just like, there's a lot of moments here where I'm comforting him to falsely then, get him to do what I want to say. And, the farther we go along, the less congenial I need to be to get what I want. She's like, so at any point, do I comfort him by like a hand on like his shoulder? Like when she comes up, like, and I'm covered in blood. I was just like, oh no. I was like, I think you were making the choice that you just have a little bit on your hand, just to really ham fist the Macbeth of it all.
Yeah.
But what I wanted it to always be is like, oh, we're doing the out damn spot early, but she's never going to lose it. Like that spot just becomes part of her skill. Like she would rather cover herself in a blood tattoo than like ever worry about like being like, oh no. I'm good. Like I'm okay with all of these choices. Yeah. But so Eileen was just like, no. And so then we incorporated the finding that moment later on before she takes him into the closet. We added that. That was a gag that we put together. And it's like when we come up with jokes or gags or things like the banana or the hand thing.
Yeah.
It is a weird continuity thing that we wanted to make sure that we executed, and that it's a joke later, but it's a joke that serves hopefully a narrative and a story function.
I thought that was a good scene. Like I thought it added to, because it was kind of like the next progression of their relationship, right? Like she's trying to control him and make sure he doesn't go anywhere. So after that, she's like, oh, well, now you're mine. Yeah. And I'll turn you into sausage. Is that what she said? I think it's
I'll cut off your dick and we'll start serving hot dogs.
Okay. Yep.
Because I was gonna script wise, you'll see my mom is the woman with white hair that's outside of, and she's in a couple shots. She's plays a more visible role in our next in Casually Cool. But I had scripted that we were going to do a series of cutaways, which we ended up just scrapping the whole thing in general. Like I said, with filming extra stuff of like the breast of the women and actually showing the chicken breast, them, juxtaposing back and forth between the two things. The scoop eye showing the fried eyeballs and stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of rather be mentioned, we were going to show it. It was scripted that way. Like with the special effects team, we actually talked about, we came up with the gag and then we did the food off of that. We're like, all right, if it's a melon scooper and an eye, and we're all like, oh, I don't know if I've ever seen that. That's awesome. Like we liked, even though it's not that, like we're not seeing it go in and whatever.
Yeah.
We're doing the best that we can.
Yeah.
And magic trick.
It was very Troma.
Yes.
The effects were very Troma. If you're going into this knowing that it's a Troma film, then you're
this
not.
This is a warning.
Like, this is what you should be expecting. And it's part of the charm of it.
It's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
A lot of dialogue by a lead and better actors than me. But so I had scripted, one of the cutaways was when Laddie says that, we cut away to Bobby seeing a very just, the movie Nothing But Trouble?
Yeah.
Such a scary movie. When Dan Aykroyd eats the hot dog that looks like a dick.
Yeah.
Yep. I was going to do that. And it was going to be my mom, to whatever that Freudian thing that says, and taking a bite out of it and Bobby like flinching and snapping back. That was going to be the cutaway.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that put the kibosh on filming all the other stuff was my mom said she was down to do it. And then like a week before filming, she's like, I'm not down to do it. She's like, I just don't like it and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great. I was like, no. I was like, I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. So then we had pork sickles that I knew we were doing because that was a leftover tongue mold that we had used when we did A Nightmare on Backstreet from back in Chicago for a Freddy tongue for the phone.
Yeah.
That's the only reason mother of invention pork sickles came to be. I was like, ew, what if it was just a fucking tongue? Like a frozen tongue that people are just like chew it? Like, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to worry about what it like actually tastes like. Like that's fucking disgusting. And so Rick Hasselbrock, husband to Amy Hasselbrock, who's producer on Sweetmeats and now one of our main executive producers moving forward of NKY Films. Her husband's the one in the Farmer Vincent like Motel Hell overalls and shirt, who's bald, like going down on it. My mom was watching that day of filming and everyone like went nuts. And he was just like, how do you want me to eat this? And he's like, he says in the script, I really go to town on it. He's like, what is that? He's like, what do you want that to be? And I said, let's do a take because we got enough of these. If you're okay with it, I would like to do the first take be whatever you think go to town on it is. Like we might be good with that.
Yeah.
And because again, and so we did it and he nailed it. That is the take. And I was like, that was go to town on it. I was like, great. I was like, do you feel comfortable with that? He's like, yep. All right, great. Moving on. Like, and my mom saw it and she's like, that gentleman isn't too much younger looking than I am. You know what? I think I can do that hot dog scene because she saw the adulation that he got. and I was like, oh no, I was like, that ship's already sailed.
Oh, she'll get another shot, hopefully.
Oh, she did. She's a very snarky librarian and casually cool and is fantastic. Really, really, really brought it. As well as my mother-in-law, who is Surly Shirley in this, is fantastic and casually cool. She plays Old Widow Weston, and she's dating the mayor of that town in that movie, who is Pizza Guy from Sweetmeats, Kim Sherwood.
Okay, yeah, Pizza Guy. Yes, he was very adamant that there was going to be pizza, and there was no pizza. And he was like, "I'm sure I had pizza here." He was so descriptive, like he was really jonesing for that pizza.
Yes, he was. So like what I've been asked, is he interested in Bobby? And I said no. He is interested in pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is what he is interested in. And it is some sort of kink fetish to be able to openly ask for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, that righteous indignation when he gets, I guess, blue balls, or it's just like, as soon as his pleasure is gone, that he is told that this isn't going to be fulfilled, he becomes an asshole. Like he is just like, no, I am like, no, this is, So it's just an immediate flip.
Yeah.
Bobby stays the same the whole time because Bobby don't like Bobby is just
Bobby's like, what's happening here? Why is this happening to me? Please go away.
Which means we find out Bobby and Jerry are just probably also stoned 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah. I really love the title of the songs. I think my favorite songs were, I wrote them down.
If we're talking titles of just what the
Yeah.
title is, I could guess which one.
Which one do you think it is?
Country song panties dropping. Panties are dropping.
Oh,
Like I'm saying
no.
joking. I'm saying jokingly, like
Yeah.
sarcastically favorite one, because I found out in college that the word panties is not usually liked by women.
Oh, I mean, I'm fine with panties.
Okay.
Panties,
And
underwear.
I've heard numerous times that like I wrote a whole sketch about used the word panties.
Uh-huh.
And there was multiple over the years, women just being like, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird word for us. But I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
I don't know. It kind of reminds me of I went to Europe and we were trying to find like a bathing suit, what I call it. And they were like, they were like, what's a bathing suit?
Oh, to bathe. Yeah, to go bathing, like to bathe
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? I can't remember what they call it, but it was something weird. And I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But I call it a bathing suit. I don't know. Like, I don't
It's
know.
like that feels like something my daughter Anna would be like, oh, a bathing suit, but you don't take baths in it. Like I don't go in the bathtub in this because she a lot of times she's learning idioms.
Yeah.
So like her awareness of specificity is she's not being annoying. She's not being like,
no, kids are literal.
Yeah. So like, but she is like, she gets hyper fixated. Like, so if you say something, like if I were to say, oh man, it's raining cats and dogs out there. Like if she hadn't have just learned idioms, she'd have been like, why are you lying?
Yeah. No,
You're going to be in trouble.
exactly.
I'm going to tell Grammy.
I always had so much fun teaching idioms to my students. So, like we had so much fun just like going through finding all the idioms and trying to figure out what they actually meant. I love teaching that. It's fun.
Familial little things that I dig in the movie are within the Groot family, and you can take that to the bank, that's just something they all say. And I don't know, weird little things like that are what I get excited about while writing. Cause like, yeah, I don't feel like I have all of the best voices for each one of the characters. Like I do my best, but like, if I can do weird little things like that, it just makes connections that like while I'm writing, I'm just like, oh, I love that. And then if you get to have someone like Bobby who is on the other end of it and like, oh, are you going to comment on it? Are you going to recognize it? Like, how do you feel about it? That's why I love that Laddie hates her family, but she hates the circumstances. Circumstances could be different. And she has given the opportunity for that to be. And
well, she makes it.
Yeah.
She makes the opportunity. My favorite song was The Devil is a Woman I Know.
Oh, that's where we realized Eileen has also a killer voice. Every movie.
She had a really good singing voice.
Yeah, opposed to me. So Dustin Matthew Taylor, who did a lot of the incidental music, some of the score pieces with David Kornfeld, who I also love the music. Dustin Matthew Taylor sings The Legend of Bobby Sweet, Diddle My Fiddle, and The Sweetest Meat. Killer voice, amazing voice, such a good country rock Southern voice. We tried having him be the singing voice of Bobby, and it didn't work coming out of my mouth. And also like contextually, like if Bobby sounded this good, he should be famous. So like it had to be me not sounding very good, like not great, but like getting like a little bit of notoriety, like just enough because he's a guy. Not because he's like actually talented, because the marketing, the package ends up being better than the artist. But yeah, A Devil's Woman. So we killed off, spoiler for All Your Friends Are Dead, Eileen first in that movie, the character. And there's a reason, but ultimately, like as I'm watching the movie, no slide to any of the other actors or the performers in it. I, as a watcher, I'm just like, I'm not as invested. I was like, you got rid of the character I want to see more of. So for Sweetmeats, like writing it, I was just like, oh, well, yeah, this movie's about her. Then late in the movie, when we're just like, oh, you should sing one of the songs and it should be this. It should be this penultimate, sometime in the future, maybe kind of like Grand Ole Opry performance or whatever. It's Bobby and her. Like he's never a solo artist anymore. It is Ike and Tina, but like she's Ike. And could you sing this? We'll make this a duet. And she was just like, yeah, I sing. And then she did it, and we were just like, oh, duh. A musical that just got put on hold, hopefully not indefinitely, called Truly Trudy. Eileen was the lead of that, and it was a full-blown musical with her doing multiple songs that she did some demos to already. But we're having her do one of the songs on the soundtrack for Casually Cool as well. We're learning to enjoy all of Eileen's multi-talents.
That was definitely a scene that stuck out to me. It was like jarring. I was like, oh, she's singing. Like she has a good voice. Like
Better, right?
Mhm.
In every way, she's better than Bobby Sweet.
She really is. He's definitely her kind of gimpy sidekick, and she has to drag him along. And she's like, well, if I have to have you here, I'm going to make sure you're the best you can be. But just know it's
Just
only
enough.
because of me.
Just enough of a dangle of a yeah. I think you said I think yes. I think he is. I mean, he's 100% in an abusive relationship. That's no question.
Well, yeah.
But I do think he is her slave to some degree, submissive slave. Because I mean, he has to agree to it. Like he agrees to his deconstruction of like, again, just being a paper doll, just being this thing, just literally being this product, right?
He
Whether
agrees
it's a
to it
semen.
because he has no other choices. But it's
Right. Well, and it's also as soon as she gives him physical attention,
Mhm.
like he has to question it one more time when it comes to Jerry. But after then, I think it's the point of no return.
Yeah.
I think I don't think he says no to her once.
No.
I mean, maybe if the Colonel Tom Parker dead thing comes in and like a power dynamic shift, but like, no, yeah, I think he's 100% after that.
I do love the costume change as well. As soon as like Laddie took over, like then she's wearing like the black with the red, and it was like really cute. And I was like, I like this style. It's very
Eileen, most of the costumes are Eileen's. And then most of the costumes that I wear were my dad, who plays Ponce de la Surge, because he has a Burt Reynolds level walk-in closet. It's just these shirts that are costumes. I mean, that is going through those Western shirts. That was the progression in telling a story as little as I could with the selection of them, was the interstitials of Bobby and using what he had and looking at him and going, oh, there is a progression of flamboyancy.
Mhm.
And I can tell the little bit that I can do, because we don't have a costuming team. Like, again, we're getting a little bit better each time with being able to have people who are able to bring their artistry to it. Like Amy Hasselbrock sewed these Xanadu like diner waitress costumes for Casually Cool, because we have this like breakaway musical ballet dance musical number in this private detective movie. But like the costumes are amazing for that. For Sweetmeats, it was me going, all right, I'm going to do brown and orange, and then we're going to do red and yellow because that's McDonald's. And like that. And the Coke stuff we can't do anything against. But I'm pretty sure, based on my knowledge of Greece, if you only have one product, like it's not a competing soda, that you would be good. And Coke would just be like, yeah, we don't have any issue with that because you're just promoting Coke.
Yeah. Like, why would you ever have an issue with that?
We did one set decoration choice, which was to change the clock on the wall that when Sweetmeats got fancy. And it was, we hung up this old Coke clock that I found and put it up, and like minimal stuff like that, changing the trays for how they look, changing the aprons.
Yeah.
Jerry having the flair, because of course he would. I mean, thank you. I'm glad you dug the small nuances of costume.
Yeah, no, I love that kind of stuff. It kind of, it's showing a shift in something. Something is changing.
I don't ever get to talk. This is the only interview that anybody's ever commented on. Like me and amongst the production and like my friends and stuff, I'll be like, so because, this is why I'm doing this. And because budget, we can't afford to hire someone that just do this. And so like, this is what we're doing. And like, this is the reason. And they're just like, okay, I'm glad you have a reason. It's like, I swear I do. And it's just a small shift. Ashley Minich did construct a couple of the costume pieces, the hat and the wig apparatus. She was able to figure out and put together for Bobby. And I never got the shot that I wanted of like Darth Vader's helmet in Empire Strikes Back shot from behind. Because for 2 days, I did have to have that awful weird shaved hair thing. My wife
Yeah.
hates it every time I have to do a weird facial hair thing.
I mean, it really worked for that character. I think it really transformed him. I think it worked well.
It was disgusting. Yeah.
It was, and definitely like there was like eyeliner and stuff. Like I think,
Yes.
yeah,
We were doing Faye Baker. So we part of that, again, a major kudos to Eileen, is with her outfits, which a lot of those dresses were all hers except for the commercial outfit where we were matching those shirts and skirt that I had gotten for us. And she threw out, because everybody, it is a collaborative effort. Like that is the environment that we put forth as well while filming, is if you have an idea for something at any point. Yes, the banana thing, 100%. Timmy was just like, I have this idea for this banana thing. And he's like, and this is the arc. And I was like, great. And then Eileen's like, and the death scene, she's like, does he have the banana on him? And I was like, Timmy, remember, it's your responsibility, continuity. He's like, yes, I do. He's like, it's in my apron. She's like, can I do a take? And I was just like, yep. It's like, same mechanics, whatever. Everybody's safe. Timmy's on the ground. She does it, lifts up the pig mask, goes down, picks up the banana, eats it. And we're just rolling until Nick Hyatt's behind the camera yells cut. Because I also yell cut way too quick. We learned that too. There's been times where people are doing really good jobs and I yell cut. Eileen takes a bite of the banana, just one bite, opens it also in one go, which is a little fuck you. And it takes just one bite and then just chucks it and hit Timmy just right in the midsection. And Timmy stayed there laying, like didn't make a noise. And then she walked away and did that. And we're like, cut. We're like, that's it. Like, yep. Like we don't need to do this anymore. That is what is going. That is the arc of the banana. That works. Like for me, again, a gag or a joke or something, but narratively, I think fulfills something emotionally and character-wise and story.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely saw it as like her final fuck you. Like I will take everything from you and
everything you love.
Everything you love. She was definitely a hard ass. I loved her character.
I love her as the butcher too. So the only time she is technically in the costume is when you see her, or if I'm on screen with her. Every other time it's me. It's me in the costume, which Eileen's like, I don't know how much I like people not questioning that that's not me. Like, and they eat the people or whatever. Like, because people are just like, I think we're so desensitized to the scream thing that like you kind of assume it's not the person. So if it doesn't look like that, and so, but Eileen in it during the music video stuff where she's like dancing around and stuff with people, I was dying. It was so funny to see her just almost like Robert Englund, just the fluidity of her in like that boxy butcher's coat. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird and interesting and like sadistic. And
it seems like everyone was having a lot of fun.
Yes. We didn't have any stressful shoots.
Good. That's how it should be.
You get lucky, but it's again the people you hopefully surround yourself with. And that's what's hard as you're growing and you start having to let in people to elevate your things and to go farther and do more. Your circle grows. We've been very fortunate that our circle keeps on growing a little bit each time, as well as does, I think, the art that we're doing. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to Sweetmeats that I really like, that we did it when we did it because it feels sense like, not that it's going to be remembered or there's going to be any kind of legacy or whatever or any pop, but for me, it feels like why those certain horror movies like Elm Street or Motel Hell or those movies like transcend, like we keep on going back to them. We keep on being like, man, what was it saying about us as a culture? What does it say about us now? Like an everlong mirror. So like Sweetmeats for me exemplifies like the genre and the frustrations of what we wanted to do and getting that pushback and then being like, okay, we're going to Southern fry this. And I'm from I'm kind of Kentucky, like I'm Northern Kentucky. So I get to have a little bit of this view of towns like this, people like how they always have been and somehow have bullhorns now. But I will no more soapboxing for me.
Oh no, you're good. We kind of talked about the family dynamic already, like with like the father wanted a boy and then he eventually got a boy and then the boy was like not the smartest. And so he was stuck with Laddie.
Yeah, Jerry that was a conscious decision again from Timmy and having a conversation. Because whether it was suicide and all your friends are dead, and alcoholism and drug addiction, which again, Heinz and I, we didn't, from our viewpoint, someone watching could say you've overstepped, and that's their take of it and their experience. For all the things that we did with drug addiction, alcohol abuse, and suicide is from our experiences with it, either personally or within our sphere that we've experienced. And so one of the jokes on All Your Friends Are Dead is when my character, Matt Wilby, goes to hang himself. This happened when we went to go film the scene. I had to pull out my phone and pull up YouTube and watch a tutorial of how to tie a hangman's knot because I didn't know. Yeah. And Heinz is just like, oh, we got to use this. He's like, it's that awkward, because we're not going to be scary, right? So it's that awkward tension of just like, maybe this can be uneasy for the audience. And just so, because first I Googled how to tie a hangman's knot and the suicide hotline number came up. And then we said, oh, we got to put this in the movie. Like, we got to have this because great. I'm like, that's awesome that is the first thing. Yeah. That it's like, they do at least one click verification to be like, are you sure? Like, here, call somebody. But anyway, so doing that with Sweetmeats, Timmy was just like, I get the sense that Jerry is a bit on the spectrum. And he's like, there is high comedy in this. But he's like, I don't want to. One of his favorite movies is Tropic Thunder for a bunch of different reasons, because we both had SNL aspirations at some point. He was like, so here is where I'm thinking that are examples of Jerry showing us who he is. And we went through the script, and, one of them is the kitchen scene where I think Jerry is more talented than Bobby, top to bottom. I think Jerry is not just a savant. I just think he loves Bobby so much. He wants Bobby to succeed. So he'll even take the back seat to let that happen. So anyway, just things like that. I wanted to make sure that it's like, okay, this isn't just a stoner character. So the project we're probably going to announce after, and you're getting it here first. And I'll only mention it in a little bit that I can, because Truly Trudy had to be put on hold. Like Sweetmeats came from open house, we're pivoting and just putting the final touches on our next horror thing while we're editing Casually Cool, because we wanted to do 2 films in 1 calendar year. It's called Run, and it is the look at a Texas Chainsaw like Leatherface / like Nick Castle, Michael Myers, who is in a world and a universe that slasher killing becomes a way of government population control. And so the celebrity of like a Freddie Raps or a Saturday morning cartoon or anything ridiculous that has come from horror from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to now is examined through the kind of OG
kind of slasher
version of that. And so we get to be meta and appreciate the genre and do some things within the genre that we really like, while also kind of being like, and we're not gonna do any of this because we don't think this is what is interesting about the genre. Like any of the movies, like Night of the Living Dead, like any of the, like the OG or any of the Dawn of the Dead, the Elm Street, Candyman. Think about those movies. You can say that there's expletive circumstances or maybe some explorations within them because of that's part of the genre. But I don't know that there is like a huge tantamount gross things that don't hold up, because that's why they are still part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah, I have like a philosophy with it where I'm okay with there being exploitation in film. And I'm okay with it because there's exploitation in life. Art imitates life. I'm not going to pretend like exploitation doesn't exist. That these things, just because we don't like it, I mean, doesn't mean that it shouldn't be depicted.
I think I always look at it in a satirical way, a satirical lens. I think that's how I always approach it.
I talk about this with I Spit on Your Grave. Are we uncomfortable because this filmmaker is, exploiting this woman? Or are we upset with it because it's showing the exploitation that already exists within society? So it's like, which one is it,
Right.
Because there are purposes, like you listen to the episode. It's
I am.
It's such a complicated topic. It's so complicated.
It's within, the horror community where there are fans of a lot of what I think is awful and gross about horror to some degree again, but then again, I was a child growing up going to conventions, and I talked my dad into buying me the pull string Freddy, and then immediately put it in a drawer because it terrified me because I was like 6. But so I grew up in that environment and seeing the exploitation of women scantily clad standing next to a table where they're selling the shot on video stuff, like seeing actresses who I had seen in television and films publicly appear, meeting the fans and selling again that interaction of. So if it's I'm drawing blanks, a lot of Hammer horror, Veronica Cartwright, people wearing suggestive outfits because they're meeting their fans and they know that's it's such an interesting. You can exploit it or you can show the exploitation. You can be the exploitation, and I think a lot of that doesn't hold up. I think a lot of that ends up being the forgotten white noise of the imitation holiday horror movies of the 80s and stuff. Yeah. And so it's the ones that at their root were just using that as the canvas kind of, or the entry point to say something a little different.
Yeah.
Slumber Party Massacre is another one that I think I mentioned before. I love, and if you look at the backstory of that, it is fascinating that how that came to be. But then they ultimately end up making one of the things they were trying to satirize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the sequels are bananas.
I think it's all really interesting to look at intent versus, and everyone's coming in with a different perspective and how they're viewing a film and what they're taking from it. But I think in the end, it's no matter how someone takes it, it's commenting on something within society and it's exposing something within society.
Yes.
Even within yourself.
Even if you don't like it, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, if it makes you feel scared, then they're either playing into the propaganda, into the fear propaganda that you already have these, because you don't have these experiences. So you're afraid of it. Yeah. And it's, people talk about with horror and with comedy, I think there is a pretty clear, obviously, I don't think it's a thing that needs to be oh, isn't it interesting that you did comedy and then you want to do horror? There's a lot of that. It's the same as there's not as much women in comedy or being recognized, but there is women throughout the ages of comedy, but it's now being celebrated more. And now there are more people of color, women in horror as well. It's great to go back and see, like I said, Slumber Party Massacre. It's great to talk about Deborah Hill, who I don't think gets enough credit for the dialogue in Halloween. There's only one reason I think why you care for PJ Souls and Jamie Lee Curtis. The reason why their relationship feels authentic and unlike something that stands out until we get to Scream, which is a big, not to say other movies didn't, like Slumber Party has some great dialogue scene between the women, or even Death Proof. For it to be novel and Death Proof, it's just how is this not already a genre? How is there the story of the prostitute in Germany, the underage prostitute who was tricking German soldiers and slaughtering them and killed over 30 men? How is that not a movie already? And how has Tarantino not already made it? But
she was 13.
Yeah, even younger. That's right. It's because they said you'd have to Game of Thrones it up. You'd have to age her up to.
Yeah.
But how is that not a movie? I would make that. Oh, I wouldn't because I shouldn't. You should make it. That's I would buy the ticket. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's women in horror, it exists. I didn't love it, but it was an interesting observation was when the new Candyman came out, the Peel produced, that she got so much vitriol and that it was a woman making a movie about race, and it was all about race and police brutality, and different people in the horror community saying that they didn't like it for that because it's just a message movie. And it's just you say you like the original Candyman. The Candyman first movie is 100%. That is why it is amazing.
Yeah.
That is why the Tony Todd Candyman movies are weirdly better than they should be. Even the first straight to video New Orleans one is pretty bad. But then the third one I think is good. It kind of gets a little Hellraiser straight to video quality.
Yeah.
Kind of that era. But
I love Hellraiser. So
I love the world of Hellraiser. Do you think a majority of the horror community is more thoughtful, or do you think they are more toxic?
Good question. I see a lot of people in it for the wrong reasons. And when you try to push for the right reasons or you try to just expose the heart of horror, you get a lot of pushback because people don't want to really think about what they're consuming.
Well, it's so funny you mentioned that because we thought it was a little too hit you over the head. And again, time and money of not having either is we were going to use the ballroom because Heinz is very good about this. He's not as much a good prep writer. He's a good, like while we're doing it, like elevating and focusing in on some smaller things. Like while we were filming the re-signings with the devil, there's 3 scenes with Eileen, with Laddie, where it happens 3 times in the movie. That's why I said she lifts a lot of heavy lifting. Heinz figured out that there was an exit sign that was always in every frame, and Bobby goes the different way every time. He could choose an out, but he doesn't. So he could, it's not like he's been kept here. It's not like his life's been threatened as far as we know up to a certain point. Then we know it's like, oh, okay. But, and I was just like, I love that. I was like, were you planning that? And he's like, no, I found it in editing. He's like, so I'm using all the takes that is framed. And so he did a first pass and then I did a fine tune and then a second pass. But I was like, no, it's stuff like that I love, having those interesting little things. We were thinking about using the ballroom. Heinz was like, what if it was like a dream sequence or something? I don't know. You're the writer. You figure it out. But Bobby decides he can't take it anymore. And he runs into the restaurant and he yells, basically Soylent Green is people. And everyone looks up. They looked down at that. They look at him. They look back at that. They go, and they just keep eating. And they just keep eating. And people are like going up to him, like, take my money. Like Fish Islands, like, take my money.
Yeah.
And so we were going to film it in the restaurant because it was such a weird mirror image, but it was fancy on the other side or fancier, like red. We were going to do a Shining thing where we were going to cut between it, but it would be Bobby looking fancy coming into a bunch of tuxedo people.
Yeah.
And it's a fine dining and meat that just looks straight up like.
That would be a really stark difference. That would be really beautiful, I think.
I love Cronenberg. Like even another idea for a sequel to Sweetmeats. We do have the one thing in our contract is we have the first right to refusal of a sequel. Like they have to match if they're going to pay or someone to do it. We would be at least offered to write it. Is doing a full on Hostel, like called Sweeter, where it's farm to table. And so another aspect of like country boutique. It would definitely be dark because it's also like farm ladies. So it's like, what side of the family is that? And like, did every daughter that Laddie had or granddaughter eventually get moved to a farm? And like, there's private teaching, like there's a school or there's like, so that was the idea of like a bunch of girls in pig masks and butchers, but first selling like not a Hooters, but like more of a boutique farm to table, using the exploitation for that to get these guys to come in. Using the photo of Trump and RFK and all of them in the plane with the McDonald's, I was like, what if it was those dude bros and they have tasted everything? And this is before I even heard about the Epstein and the cannibalism thing. I was like, what if they find a place that is cannibalism? And so now that all this, there's different things, whether truth or whatever, I don't know. I don't get into those weeds.
Yeah. I don't know if there's like, I think it's code. Honestly, I think it's just code language.
Sure. Yeah. That would make sense.
But it's really
it's riddled. It's riddled with code language. Yeah. Regardless of what it's code for, it's disgusting. Like I think that in the world of those emails, there is that inherent dialogue in that code that they would use. But I don't know that even now, if offered it, would make that kind of movie, because I would feel like it's also, again, kind of gratifying, like, and glorifying that group.
I think you have to do it in a way that would make them uncomfortable if you were
audiences. Yeah. It would. It would be the most pointed of just like, this is what we're saying.
So what do you want people to take away after watching Sweetmeats? And also, where can people find Sweetmeats?
Sweetmeats can only be found if you didn't get it on Indiegogo, the special edition Blu-ray that we put out, that we always do with our stuff. It is on Troma Now. First month is for free, $4.99 after that. In the world of physical media, maybe people not having it or having a hard time finding things. Canopy, go to Canopy, like support things like that. The library website. But Troma Now does have, I'm not shilling for him, does have Vinegar Syndrome's entire catalog up on it, streaming. So I think that like you have a lot if you wanted to get it for a couple months, or watch our movie from the first month free. That's what I did. And it's a beautiful it's the best presentation. They had it on the main page. It was awesome. It sounds the best. It looks the best. So they're working on a Blu-ray because I've seen a couple of the special feature things that they've done. But yeah, Troma Now is the only place right now, unless you see it pop up. If you follow our social media handles, we'll always promote where they're going to have a screening.
Okay.
What do I want people to take away? I mean, I want, if possible, that even if you're just like, oh, musical and horror, like, gross, maybe just like, I don't know, sit down with an open mind enough to be like, mac and cheese doesn't always have to be gourmet. This could be tried and true. Like when people are just like, man, the plot, like, seen that done before. Have you heard this one? Sweeney Todd much? It's just like, yeah, it's just like 110% in Little Shop Horror, Sweeney Todd. Like I can point like all of these things. And it's just like, yeah, I use that because podcast that I did, Low Budget Rebels, this is my second favorite interview to that. These are tied because we talked about things costuming, never have talked about on a podcast about any of our film. So thank you of the nuances of appreciation, which is really cool and makes me feel excited and happy. Josh on Low Budget Rebels was like, I think you undersell how weird Sweetmeats is. He's like, I think a lot of it is common for you of like these flavors that you put together. But he's like, to the average person, it's a weird movie. And I'm like,
that's true. Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I get it. But he's not wrong that like my love of the evolution of country rock music, I tried to weave as many things that I could and use those as the mouthpiece to be like, man, men run country music. Man, men run industry. Man, like this. It takes this one person. She's going to have to kill for it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so that's the takeaway. But I mean, I think there's a smorgasbord for me of like, I don't think the movie gets boring, but I could see.
I like how it's like made into chapters, like the storybook. And then you always have, it's almost, I saw it instead of like a musical, I saw it like a music video almost.
And that's influenced by Deal with the Devil, like Phantom of the Paradise, which I'm a big fan of De Palma stuff too.
Yeah.
And also the Monkees. I mean, the movie Head, Sweetmeats, there's so many sewing through. I mean, Nesmith and kind of the inventor of popular country rock. Again, it's heavily influencing the soundtrack. Jerry Reed, Dolly Parton, a ton of music that I grew up with too, that I was just like, you know what? I like, but again, I think we've talked about here with horror, there is that culture too, like car culture and country and like Smokey and the Bandit fans, where it's like movie plays on 4 quadrants, but I don't know that I love the people in the bottom 4, like the bottom 2.
Yeah.
But again, I want, maybe they watch this and they have an experience and they think something, not like it's going to change the world, but like maybe they think a little differently because of their preconceived idea going into it. And at the end, maybe they'll be like someone posted on Letterboxd, like, at least Laddie was pretty cute. And it's like, well, I mean, like, I'm glad that you think she was cute after what the movie does to present who she is. Like, she's also insane. But
yeah, she's not supposed to be, she's not a likable female figure.
Yeah.
I mean, I like her, but
oh yeah, she's my favorite character. Anybody that's like, Bobby's my favorite character, I'm like, interesting. Because Bobby is a lot of my insecurities, but they're personified as a person that I don't think is a good person.
Yeah. I don't think he's a bad person. He's just,
he's a rube.
He's finding himself.
Yes, he's finding himself through being told who himself is.
Yes, he is.
Thank you also for watching and making questions and wanting to talk about it, and also wanting to do, hopefully in the future, better horror than some of which the low budget horror.
I love low budget horror.
Yeah, I wish there was a coalition of like $50,000 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't just like, they didn't fit in just like a certain box.
Yeah, horror is such a wide genre, and I get something out of every aspect of it. And I think for the audience for this one, if you go in knowing that it's a comedy, And knowing that it's like satirical and it's kind of a mashup of different things, this is a really fun movie. And there are some deeper messages, but you don't go in to take it seriously. It's a good, fun time. I see a lot of theater in it.
Thank you again. Anything we didn't answer, thank you for all the nice words. I would be happy to answer an email, or if any listeners have any questions, my social medias are open.
Perfect. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
What we served that food critic
Was human. We served him man meat.
Exactly. So, what you're saying is we need to find more people to grind up.